Most people think they know Jonah's story. A man swallowed by great fish, spat out, and finally obeying God's call. But what if I told you the most important part isn't in the fish at all? What if the real ending, the one rarely told, exposes the truth about the human heart and God's mercy? Stay with me, because once you hear it, you'll never read Jonah the same way again. It began in a time of unrest. Nineveh, capital of the Assyrian Empire, was infamous for violence, corruption, and cruelty. Their brutality was feared across nations. God's command to Jonah was clear: go to Nineveh and preach against it. But Jonah's heart burned with resentment. He didn't want Nineveh to repent. He wanted them to pay. So instead of heading east, Jonah ran west, boarding a ship to Tarshish, as far as possible from God's assignment. Then came the storm. Waves pounded, sailors panicked, and Jonah confessed he was the reason. Reluctantly, they threw him overboard, and the sea grew calm. But Jonah's story wasn't over. God was still pursuing him. A great fish swallowed him whole. 3 days, 3 nights, in darkness, alone, nothing but his thoughts and his God. In that suffocating belly, Jonah finally prayed, not just out of desperation, out of surrender. Salvation belongs to the Lord. The fish spat him onto dry land. Jonah went to Nineveh and preached. And to his shock, and maybe his horror, everyone repented. From the king to the poorest citizen, they fasted, mourned, and begged for mercy. And God forgave them. That's where most Sunday school versions stop. But the Bible doesn't, and neither should we. Instead of celebrating, Jonah was furious. The city was saved, but his pride was wounded. He left, built a shelter east of the city, and waited, perhaps still hoping for fire to fall from heaven. Then God gave Jonah shade, a leafy plant growing overnight. Jonah was relieved. But the next day, God sent a worm. The plant died. The shade was gone. The scorching sun and hot wind beat down until Jonah wanted to die. And that's when God spoke. Jonah, you care more about this plant than about a city of 120,000 people who don't know their right hand from their left. Shouldn't I care about them? And just like that, the book ends. No answer from Jonah. No resolution. Because the question isn't for Jonah. It's for us. Jonah's real struggle wasn't with God's call. It was with God's mercy. He wanted forgiveness for himself, but justice for his enemies. He loved grace, as long as it went to the right people. But this ending forces us to ask, do we secretly believe some people don't deserve God's mercy? Do we draw lines where God never did? Nineveh's revival proves no one is beyond grace. Jonah's anger proves how hard it is to love our enemies. Centuries later, Jesus pointed to Jonah not as a quaint fishtail, but as a prophetic sign. Just as Jonah spent 3 days in the fish, Jesus would spend 3 days in the grave. Then he would rise, bringing salvation not to one city, but to the world. And many rejected him for the same reason Jonah rejected Nineveh. Because grace often goes to the people we least expect and least want to forgive. Jonah's story ends with a question. Not will God forgive Nineveh? We already know he did. But will you share God's heart for the people you'd rather see punished? The untold ending isn't about Jonah's choice. It's about yours. God's mercy is still moving, still reaching, still calling, even to those who've run the farthest, even to those who seem least deserving, even to you. Don't run from grace when grace is running toward you.